All right, what's up, guys? Back some more videos, and in today's video, the 2020 Chicago Pro, the entire lineup. I'm going to be talking from place 15 and up. Now, I'm not going to talk about the 16th place guys because, there's a couple guys who tied for 16th, and if I do every single guy who placed or who competed in the show, the video might be a little too long, so I'm just going to do 15 and up. I'm going to try to run through the majority of these guys till I get to about the top 6. But we're just going to see how these guys looked and, who placed where and whatever else. So first of all, we have Ken Jackson, who placed 15th. Now, this guy, he's actually been in a couple pro shows, and he's actually been as high as, I think, in the top 5 in a couple of these shows. This show was not one of those shows because he just did not bring conditioning. As you can see, he just didn't bring it. He actually has pretty good shape, but, when you bring, conditioning like this, it's just... it's just not good. As you can see, he looks like he's about, 5 weeks out here. So, another 5 weeks of, real dieting and cardio. This would have been a different bodybuilder, but he just didn't bring it. But, he is 15th. Johnny Jackson, now, this is his second show of the 2020 season. And, he looks better here than he did at the Arnold. Let's actually go to the first slide here so you can actually see a front double bicep of Johnny Jackson. But he comes here to Chicago and places 14th. Now, this is a guy who's won pro shows. I think he's been as high as top 6 at the Olympia. I think he's been about, top 3 of the Arnolds. He was definitely a great bodybuilder. At the Arnold, his conditioning was horrible. He was about, 9 weeks out. But here, you have some detail in the quads. He didn't have that at the Arnold. Johnny's decent. He's just not the Johnny that he once was. He's getting up there in age, and as you can see, the physique is not just what it once was. He has I guess the beginning stages of Palumboism. As you can see, the tricep is receding from the elbow into the armpit. For whatever reason, as guys get older, their tricep kind of diminishes into their armpit, and it just makes their arms look kind of small and bunched up in the armpit and shoulder area. If he enjoys competing, keep competing. But if you want to place or win shows, then I think that's kind of behind him. But if you want to keep it up, then it's all up to what you enjoy, right? So coming in at number 13 is Sean Smith, and I know people talked about this guy being a dark horse. He didn't bring it, man. He was not in shape. He was not conditioned. He was not detailed. His shape is actually pretty good, but he just didn't bring, that level of muscularity, that level of conditioning. The quads are definitely not separated. Let me actually go to the front double biceps so you can actually see the quads. Like I said, it's a bit to be desired. There's no real detail here in the quads at all, man. Like I said, good shape. He has a bit of a taper there in the waist, so really good taper. But there's no conditioning to go with this physique. So, but yeah, he came 13th. Next is going to be Joe Seaman, and honestly, I'm kind of a fan of Joe Seaman. This guy has a pretty good physique in my opinion. As you can see, he's actually pretty conditioned, man. Quads are completely separated. Now, he does pull a vacuum on stage, and, he doesn't have the best shape. He doesn't have the best structure, but he makes it work the best he can. And he looks pretty good. I think he was probably a bit overlooked, to be honest. I didn't really, see many flaws in terms of, lacking conditioning or anything on him. He definitely did the best he could with the tools that he had. And I feel like he was just, once again, completely overlooked in terms of what I feel like he should have, placed. From the rear, he was pretty decent. I think he had pretty decent glutes here. Look at that. Glutes are pretty striated. Conditioning for the most part is pretty decent. Hamstrings are separated. Yeah, I feel like he was overlooked. But he does pick up a 12th place spot here. So let's get into 11. I don't know who this guy is. Makam. He looks good. He looks really good legs, really good quads. He looks pretty on point if I do say so. Let's actually go into a front double bicep. Let's actually see what that looks like. Front double bicep. Yeah, not horrible. Waist is okay. Quads are really good. Calves are really good. Arms are okay. He looks decent. Let's actually look at the back double bicep on this guy here to actually get a better look of his conditioning. And okay, we get into a proper back double. You can see the glutes, see the hamstring, see the lower back. He wasn't completely on. He's not a horrible bodybuilder. Probably 4 weeks out here. This would have been a different conversation if he was a bit more dialed in. He probably could have cracked that top 7. But yeah, he has quite a bit of muscle. He just didn't make it here at this show. Next going to be Josh Wade. Now, I know Josh Wade does have quite a bit of fans. I know a lot of people, like him, but I'm not a fan of his physique. I know he's a hardworking guy. I know he loves bodybuilding. Like, they talk about blue collar bodybuilders. Like, I guess he's one of those guys. I just don't feel like he has a great structure. I mean, that's kind of it. But he does the best he can with the tools that he has. He does work, and he makes sure that he comes in for the most part 100% with his conditioning. Now, front delta bicep, as you can see, not horrible, not obviously the best, but, I feel like he is number 10 because of his conditioning. Let's actually go to the rear to see what the back double bicep is looking like on our boy here, Josh Wade. Back double bicep, I think he might have pretty okay conditioning. There's quite a bit of skin folding in the lower back there, skin folding on the underside of his glute. So, honestly, not the best showing. I mean, I've seen him way more conditioned than this. I mean, he's been way harder from the back. I feel like he was pretty hard from the back in his before competition photos leading up to this show. He did a lot of updates and showing a lot of his poses, and he was way more conditioned in those. So I don't know what happened last minute, but this isn't a good showing for Josh Wade. Moving on, I don't know this guy, Camilo Diaz. So this is actually the first time I'm ever seeing him, to be honest. This guy plays 9th at the Chicago Pro, and pretty interesting shape. Somewhat of elongated torso. It looks like his conditioning is pretty okay. Let's actually go into a back delta bicep to see what that looks like. But like I said, I'm not familiar with this guy. Front lat spread is pretty good. He probably could open up a bit more here to give himself a bit more width through the shoulders. But he looks to be, like one of those third tier bodybuilders. But I mean, his conditioning is for the most part okay. So 9th place. I mean, I definitely see him beating obviously Josh Wade. So he has better shape. Pretty good fullness through the chest there. Let's actually go to the back bicep to see what the conditioning is really looking like, because if you want to judge conditioning, got to go to the back. Lacking thickness in the back, man. A lot of thickness is just like missing. So tons of desiring going on here. Like, he needs, way more lower lat thickness, way more rhomboids, way more lats, way more trap thickness, way more hamstrings. Honestly, man, like, I feel like Josh probably could have beat him, if we're talking about the rear. Josh just had more muscle in the back. This guy maybe is a bit more tighter, but he's lacking muscle. So interesting. But moving on, this is number 8, and Phil Clayhard. Now, I know this guy was initially in the first call out. So he was in the first call out battling for, I believe it was 6, upwards of like the top 6, but he went down to 8th. So I know that's not that great, but for the most part, he actually brought pretty good conditioning. He did. I feel like his waist is a tad wide. But he does carry quite a bit of muscle here. He doesn't look horrible. Arms are pretty good. The waist looks way better here. So I guess he just wasn't flexing in that initial front double, was he? He just wasn't flexing fully. So I mean, if he just like sucks in those obliques a little bit, then it actually changes the look of his waist. So he's not a horrible bodybuilder. You can tell he's an older bodybuilder. But I mean, in terms of muscularity, like, he's pretty thick. Pretty good from the side, to be honest. That opposing chest over there is pretty good. Arms are pretty good. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a horrible pose. We do gotta look at the back double, because the back double is where you can once again judge some good conditioning. I remember seeing him on live stream. I remember him actually having pretty good conditioning. Photos tend to take off your conditioning for whatever reason. Like, you look way better in live stream videos than you actually do in photos. As you can see, like the actual HD photo, a little bit of sogginess or sagginess or looseness on the bottom there of his glutes, but for the most part, he does have detail. He does have striations. The back is pretty thick. Could be, a tad drier, a tad harder. That lower back is not completely carved out, but I mean, pretty okay. He did place 8th. Moving on to number 7, Muhammad Shaban. Now, this guy is actually beating guys like Ian Valier in the past. So, this isn't no slouch of a bodybuilder. Really thick bodybuilder, a lot of muscle. He usually brings quite a bit of detail, quite a bit of conditioning. I don't actually remember seeing him on the live stream, but as you can see, man, really big quads, really big legs. You know, shape is pretty decent. Let's actually look at the front lat spread here. Yeah, pretty okay shape. Let's actually try to find a back double bicep and see what the conditioning from the rear is looking like. But this guy usually does bring, for the most part, pretty good condition. Yeah, like he was pretty freaking on, wasn't he? Let me actually see this. So, see, like this is conditioning. As you can see, like on the bottom here, the glutes, there's zero sagginess, there's zero excess skin. It's tight. It's tight and striated. Could he have been tighter? I mean, every bodybuilder could be tighter. Every bodybuilder could be a tad tighter, a tad drier, a tad harder, a tad bigger. But I mean, this is really good. Really good conditioning, in my opinion. And yeah, he was awarded number 7. So, you know, definitely a pretty good placement for him. Let's actually look at another one here. This actually showcasing a bit of the Christmas tree. Yeah, that's pretty good conditioning. Yep, that's actually kind of wacky. Cheese grater glutes. Like, that's kind of wacky. The back is pretty good. Yeah, really good conditioning there. Now let's actually go to On Win. I know the name is like On Nugent, but you know, I mean, if you pronounce it properly, it's like Win. So I don't really know. I guess you ignore the N and the G and just use a UN kind of thing. So is that a little bit of like varicose veins there on the teardrop? I don't know, maybe like squiggly veins there. Anyway, so On, you know, really good shape, man. He's a shapely bodybuilder. You know, he never ever brings conditioning. I feel like this is probably maybe his best conditioning thus far. Arms are really good, shape is really good. Overall, really thick, a lot of muscle. Slight gyno there in the left pec. I guess it'll be your right of the screen, but his left, a little bit of gyno there, but whatever, it's not super noticeable. I never understood bodybuilders who don't twist their fists into their shoulders to give themselves a bit more bicep peak. Like, he's pointing his fist out. Now, I'm not sure if the pose is incomplete or if he's trying to look more massive through the arms, but I mean, getting more of a bicep peak will make the arm look massive. You know, I never understood this whole thing of twisting the fist out and just pointing them forward instead of bringing them into your shoulder to get more of a peak on the bicep. Anyway, so it's whatever. Yeah, I mean, shape is pretty good. Now, I think, like I said before, this might have been conditioning. Like, I remember him having okay glutes. He just, I don't know if he just doesn't diet or if he just doesn't, you know, do cardio. Like, I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, it always looks like he's competing in somewhat guest posing conditioning every single time. Wow. That's a really good ham, really good side leg, man. Really good side leg. So actually look at the back double here. He has a really good back, like a lot of thickness in the back. Yeah, this is his best. This is his best. I've never seen a glutes like this. Like, there's no sagginess, there's no like drippiness of the skin. It is completely tight. Back is pretty developed. Could he be tighter? Yes. Could it be harder? Yes. But this is a really good On. Really good showing from On, man. Like, really freaking on point. Would I have had him beating Eddie? I gotta see Eddie. We're actually gonna go to Eddie right now. So Eddie came in 5th, and this is Eddie Bracamontes. I am not a fan of this guy's physique at all. You know, I just don't like his physique. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You know, he doesn't have the smallest waist. I feel like he doesn't really have anything that's outstanding. Is that also some varicose veins? I mean, quite a few guys are showcasing varicose veins these days. Like, he has a little bit of that on the leg there. I don't know, man. Like, he just doesn't look like a top 5 guy to me. I mean, like, once again, I'm not hating. I'm not saying that he's like a bad dude. I'm talking from just criticizing a physique that I'm looking at right now. You know, like, it's just not a great physique. Like, he looks like he has a bit of a bubble gut going on here in the side. I don't know, man. Like, it's just not impressive. You know, he looks like he should have been in the 10th spot around like where Josh Wade plays. Maybe his rears insane. Maybe he had like a crazy back double. Like, that must be why he plays so high. Like, his back double must be insane. I don't know. I really don't know why he plays so high. This is no good. I mean, Muhammad Shaban was way better than this. On was way better than this. I'd argue even Phil Klahar was better than this. Huh. I don't know what they were thinking with this one. I'm kind of confused. Maybe he wasn't like really in the pose or something like his. I don't know. I mean, he just doesn't look impressive at all. But yeah, he came 5th. So congrats to him. 4th place, Nick Walker or Nicholas Walker. This guy is massive. Really thick, really big, really massive bodybuilder. Pro debut, by the way, placed 4th at his pro debut. That's a really good placing. This guy brought it. He was freaking on. He was freaking on, bro. Pretty good conditioning, in my opinion. As you can see, really big arms, really big everything. Waist is a little long. Legs are a little short. That's a knock on him, is that his structure isn't perfect. His structure isn't great at all, to be honest. I remember him having a not that great of a front lat spread. He did a front lat spread in the comparisons, and it really didn't look that great. Not sure we can find one here. Now that we're in top 4, I'm going to really dive into these guys a bit more if I can find specific photos of, like, you know, his front lat. His most muscular, really thick abs, really thick, deep, developed abdominals. You don't really see those really thick, developed abs these days in bodybuilding. A lot of guys just have like slick, slender abs or slick, slender stomach, which is pretty weird. Okay, so they took a lot of photos of Nick, man. I got to go to like the 4th slide to find what I'm looking for. So I want to look at the back double, and I want to see his front lat spread. Nick has a really good back. Like, he has a really, like, exceptional back. I think this guy has really good potential, man. Like, you know, the back is really thick. Conditioning is great. Glutes are in. Lower back for the most part. Actually, I think he was probably a tad tighter at the North Americans. From the back, that is. Just a little bit. I mean, I don't know why, but, like, his back had more of a carved out shape at the North Americans. Like, I remember seeing that. But, you know, this is still a really, really good back for him. Now, I want to, once again, see that front lat spread, because I think the front lat spread is his worst pose. Like, absolutely worst pose, and I just can't find anywhere. I mean, I guess he just didn't hit it. Maybe. Like, there's no evidence at all of him ever hitting a front lat. It just doesn't exist. There has to be a front lat somewhere. Bro, he didn't hit a front lat? Wow. He just didn't do it. Yeah, there's no front lat spread of Nick Walker. Okay. He hit literally every single pose other than the front lat. But he has a horrible front lat spread. You know, really, really bad front lat spread. His shape just is not good in the front lat spread. But it is what it is. Now, 3rd place, Max Charles. And Max qualified for the Olympia on points. So did the other bodybuilder we're about to talk about. Max came in, you know, like his typical Max fashion. Razor sharp, razor detail, very conditioned, covered in lines from head to toe. I've seen him better. I feel like he was more conditioned at the New York Pro. He was more conditioned at the California Pro. I feel like his arms are slight, man. Like, I don't know why. Like, he actually has some really big arms. I don't know, man. Like, he doesn't have, like, a tricep sweep. His biceps aren't that thick from the front for whatever reason. His legs actually look pretty good here. Actually look really freaking good. Front lat spread of Max Charles. Really good front lat. I love the chest striations here peeking through. Arms look really big here. Really pointy elbows. Sharp, like stab out your eye kind of elbows. That's just a lot of, I think, what is that? That's a lot of, I guess, built up calcification or something. Like, that's a lot of calcium that's building up in the elbows from just years and years of training and just, you know, moving that joint, pushing a lot of heavy weight. But yeah, this is not his best, but I mean, like, it was good enough to obviously get top 3. Now, do I think Nick Walker should have potentially maybe beaten him? It's actually a really good side leg. He brought his leg up quite a bit. I don't think so. I don't really know. I mean, I gotta see him from the rear. You know, the rear is everything. Like, you know, that's where you can really tell a lot of stuff. He's not even in the pose fully, so I gotta go to the forward slide. And yeah, this is just, I mean, it's okay. Like, Nick was way better from the rear. Honestly, man, I feel like Nick should have beat him. You know, this is no good. This is no good. He actually has a really, really, really wide back. But the back double is no good, man. Like, he just doesn't do it at all. And this is the reason why he doesn't win shows. I mean, he looks great from the front, pretty good from the side. From the rear, it just is not happening. I mean, glutes are tight. They're just not striated. His back is covered in a film of water. Hamstring separation, like, barely noticeable. So, but I mean, yeah, plays third. Going to Olympia. Now, Justin Luis Rodriguez. Now, as you can see, the caliber of athletes, the caliber of competition has changed drastically between, like, the top, 15 to 6 guy to now talking about the top 5 and up. These guys are insane. Look at these shoulders, man. Like, freaking sticking out like damn needles, man. Like, they're out of his, look at that. Like, it's freaking ridiculous shoulders, man. Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, I have no idea what looking at with those shoulders, man. Like, they're really freaking crazy shoulders. So he does like a Victor Martinez type of twist with the front double. I feel like he should just hit this head on. I feel like that's a better, I would rather see it head on. Here's his front lat spread. Shoulders are really wide, sticking out. Calves actually brought up quite a bit, man. Like, he's one of the guys that really doesn't have like massive legs, but he looked like he brought up his calves quite a bit. Now, I do want to get to the rear. Yep, here we go. Back double bicep.